Hello, my name is Dr. Meghan Fox. I'm an associate professor in the English department at LaGuardia and the program director of the journalism option in liberal arts. I'm joined today with Professor Das to celebrate the National Day on Writing. Professor Das is the newest member of the journalism faculty, and I will be speaking with her today about writing in the context of journalism. Professor Das, can you briefly introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about the work you were doing before joining us at LaGuardia and how you found your time here so far.
Hi, Megan. It's really nice to be talking to you today. So before I joined LaGuardia, I was traveling, and it took me through almost 20 to 30 countries. As a freelance journalist, I worked independently throughout my career. I freelanced for different media outlets, doing radio, videos, photography, features for Al Jazeera, Radio France, Deutsche Welle, and others. And after that, I found myself in a very unique place, South Sudan, which is the world's newest country. And I was working in the field of media development, where I was actually training local journalists and strengthening local media institutions. And that moment, I felt that training and teaching is kind of my real calling. And that led me to come to New York. And here I am at LaGuardia. And when I look at my experience here, even though I feel I'm stationary after a really long time in my life, but I still feel like I am in a very global, very international environment. Our students represent a very multicultural experience. And constantly learning the cultural experiences, the cross-cultural experiences have been really fascinating. I feel like I am still in this very global and a dynamic environment.
Thank you. And it's great to have you.
Thank you.
I know that I was attracted to journalism because of my love of writing and storytelling. Can you share with us what attracted you to the field of journalism?
It was just curiosity. I was so curious about what is different, like how people eat, why people eat this or that, or why certain rituals are followed. And at the same time, I was also kind of curious about what's common. Like we have the same stories, love, divorces, relationships, friendships, families. And that sort of curiosity is what led me to go out. And I never planned it, like I'm going to tell one story or this many stories in my career. It was like one story led me to another story. One place led me to another. While I was reporting, I was meeting people that was like, oh, it's exciting. Let me go figure that out. I met somebody who told me you should go there. So it just kind of happened in a way. But if you look at what was the spirit, it was just a genuine interest in the world.
So, as you've already shared with us, you've traveled all over the world reporting on a wide range of stories. Can you tell us a little bit about some of those experiences and what you learned from them?
So I remember this one moment. I was covering the elections that was happening in India in 2014. And it was just, India, one of the largest democracies, and it's very chaotic. And I was on my way to go to the southern part of the country. And last minute, I got this call from my editor saying, no, you need to go to the northern part of the country, which was very cold compared to south. So on my way to the airport, literally, I changed my plans. So I end up going to Kashmir, which is very cold and still has some snow-capped mountains. And I wasn't prepared for that. So I found myself day one trying to figure out how to, acclimatize myself, get myself ready for the moment, find local connections. And when I finished doing the story, I went out to meet a couple of journalists and local journalists, and they told me that there is this little village which claims to be the last of the pure breed Aryans. And they claim this, and I was like, that's really interesting. And so I called up a couple of people to figure out how I could go there. And everyone's like, oh, they're just, just lying. It's a bluff. I was like, even if it's a bluff, it's worth investigating. So I called a friend of mine who I knew years ago. I knew that he used to do all those road trips in Kashmir. And he connected me to two former monks. They were Buddhist monks who were no longer monks. And the next thing I know, I am in a car with them. First, I actually had to fly to Ladakh, and then I was in a car with these two former monks traveling in the middle of this Himalayas, trying to find this little village. And once I went there, they actually claimed that they were the descendants of Alexander's army and they're purebred Aryans, and that German women come there to get pregnant.
Wow.
And they had a story. So experiences like that, which are purely like random, but it's just because I wanted to know, I wanted to investigate a little bit more, and there was nothing to lose. So it led me to one moment, to people, and stories developed.
Great. Can you share with us what you think constitutes good reporting and strong writing in the field of journalism?
When I think of a good story or good writing, the most important thing is clarity. Like you need to be clear about what you want to say. And when I mean clear, I don't mean that I need to have a preset idea of how the story should be, but as I'm exploring it, I should, or a reporter should know what that particular story is. And it's not a topic, it's a story. So kind of be loyal to that one thing. We all know attention is limited in today's world. So how do you then tell a story? How do you then translate an experience that you had as an eyewitness or someone who listened to something? So when I'm thinking of a good story, I'm looking for that sort of clear, articulate expression, but also perspective. Like if you went out to the field and we both went out, and I'm sure we'll come back with two different stories. So that individual interest, that individual way of looking at the world should be reflected, whether it's in photography or in telling a story. So I'm always looking for that sort of interest and hard work. Like even if someone's not there, you need to chase your source. You know, like no is not really acceptable. Go out of your way. Like fully be engaged in that story, because the story will reflect that you've worked hard.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Can you share with us why you think journalism, and more specifically sound journalism, is important to our country and our world in 2020?
Absolutely. I totally
question.
No, I think journalism is extremely important. There is no question about that. But if you think sound journalism, I think there is a lot of, we find ourselves in this really split moment where on one hand, there is this chaos and there is this noise. And on the other hand, there's a lot of solitude. We've all found ourselves in 2020 in little islands. So somehow that human contact, that human touch, that interpersonal feeling, and that sort of the idea that we are all somehow connected could be expressed through voice, through that sort of the resonance that we have with our stories. And I feel journalism kind of plays that role. It connects you, it reminds you what's important, it also allows you opportunities to reflect. I think that sort of storytelling has a lot of space in 2020. And with all the noise, the politics, all the noise that's happening, I think it is time to listen to a good story.
Can you share a little bit about why you think writing is important to broadcast journalism, so forms that don't get disseminated to the public in print, but yet how is writing still integral to those forms of journalism?
Writing gives shapes and size to your thoughts. So writing is there everywhere. Even if you're a painter, you somehow have a title for your painting. If you write, taking a photograph, you have captions. So broadcast or anything would require some sort of concrete layout, and writing provides that sort of a layout. It grounds your ideas. It gives a beginning. It gives depth to your story and sort of leaves you with something. All of that will happen if you sit down, patiently, calmly, and sculpt a script, write down. So if someone's working with broadcast or podcast, they cannot really escape writing. It's not something you can say, oh, you know what, I don't need to focus on it. It is important. Even if it is just you're sitting with your notebook and doodling, you need to work with your writing. So it is important. It forms a sort of a base for a storytelling process.
Great. And what kinds of writing assignments can students expect in one of your courses?
I'm very interested in when you go out into communities. So if I'm doing any class, especially at LaGuardia, I understand a lot of our students are busy. They have full-time jobs, they have responsibilities. So I'm not expecting them to go on this like nationwide hunt for story. I just tell them, look around your community, like find out stories of historical importance of how your community evolved or what challenges your community is facing. So for example, during the spring semester, when we had the whole lockdown happening and all our students were kind of not able to go out. So I asked them to go, not go in sense get out, but to look for stories about how the community institutions that they were familiar with were struggling, whether it could be grocery stores or it could be the newspaper boy, whoever they knew, to kind of find that sector and just over phone or through emails, figure out how they are dealing with it. So stories that actually ask you to kind of pay attention to your own environment are the kind of stories I'm very excited about.
Great. Can you share with everyone how writing is important to you, perhaps even outside of the field of journalism?
Yes, absolutely. I am a compulsive diary writer, and forever I take notes, even when I'm, listening to, I know the departmental meeting minutes will be provided, but I'm still taking notes. I think it comes naturally to me. It allows me to kind of connect what I'm listening, absorbing, observing, to kind of taking it and keeping it within me. So writing allows that process of making it concrete. So I've observed something, and it's no longer a fleeting moment when I write it. It's something that I give it some sort of a tangible existence. So writing my diary, writing letters, that is something I really enjoy. I now, because of how limited we are, I've started writing letters to people. They're no longer like a little hi, how are you? But it's something like an expression of who I am. I'm interested in personal narratives, so I reflect on my own experiences as well as people I've met, and try to, even if they don't end up being published, I'm interested in their lives and their experiences. So I'm writing all of that. So in other words, I have 3 rooms and I have 3 desks. That says something that I'm always ready to write, always ready to sit down and pen my thoughts.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me today in celebration of the National Day on Writing. Students, if you have any questions about the journalism program or our Fall 2 or Spring 1 course offerings, please email me at mefox@lagcc.cuny.edu, and I'd be happy to address any of your questions. Thanks again, Professor Das.
Thank you, Dr. Fox, for having me here.